Welcome everyone to season 6, episode 1. So this one's called Appreciation Circles, from an inside joke that we have about, or ritual that we started internally. But the other reason why this is season 6 and not season 5 is because we've shipped the alpha for credit. So it's actually on mainnet and team members are testing it live right now. So that's a really, really big milestone in terms of the future of credit score-based borrowing. So, yeah, I just thought it marks a new season. So let's make it official. All right, so let's jump into it. Structuring these slides slightly differently, so that on the right-hand side, you guys can understand where we are conceptually in our roadmap with credit. And then to the left, kind of mapping onto the more tactical stuff of what's coming next and later. So as I mentioned before, last week we actually shipped the alpha for credit. It's live on mainnet and we're testing it. And essentially we're now iterating on all the feedback from the alpha launch and making critical user experience improvements that need to be made. So it's great the stage at which we've launched the alpha because it's janky enough that we haven't overinvested in it. If it was perfect, it means we shipped too late. So we're still in a really nice kind of place. Then a lot of the work that Titan is doing is developing out more sophistication around risk to quantify profit, loss, measuring how well risk is working, and then understanding how we scale that credit to users in the form of like a credit limit that we have. So that's sort of like where next steps are happening, and then we're engaging with auditors to get that on track. So when we start reaching stage 3 and 4, we can say with confidence that, hey, these contracts are secure and you can put your money inside them. And then later on, it's essentially turning up the hype machine. But hopefully the image on the right is informative as to like what our priorities are and how we see the different stages of what we're building and shipping. On the platform side, we have the API documentation done that will start communicating out. And if you're a developer, you can start actually using the scores and data products that we have into your applications. We have an internal project called Cassia that's being finished up that should make score templates more easier to generate, which means we can move with more agility for different things. And then we're focusing on closing our first one-time revenue opportunity. It's still early, but thematically that's where we're going. And then we're working on a deal with to show how we can drive incremental revenue and growth in the form of framework that's repeatable. So that's thematically where we're at with platform. And a lot of what we're doing, there's all these learnings that we're going through for the first time, and quite simply no one else has gone through them. So it's quite messy and unstructured, but it's really good because these are insights that are real problems that customers are having, and we know that we can actually solve them with the unique proposition of our technology. And that's kind of where the later bits will remain, of like, how do we productize the benefits portal that we have, and how we like think about the roadmap for platform is using revenue as a driver for it. So anyway, that's where we're at on the platform side in terms of the overview. So Alex, for his amazing work on the developer documentation. As I mentioned before, we now have a place where anyone can access the scores that we've published and build them into their own applications. And the main challenge that I think we're going through right now is narrowing down what we're doing. So there's like divergence and convergence. So we've, maybe I got that wrong, don't know. But anyway, we expanded and then narrowed down. So we've been expanding quite a lot, and now it's just narrowing down on the key things that we think will really make a difference. So That's it from a very high-level overview. I'll pass it over to Gabe on the engineering side.
Awesome, thank you. Hi everyone. So on the engineering side, like Herbert said, we launched Baro Alpha, which is it's a big milestone. We worked on this for a lot of months, and it was an entire team effort, which was really nice to see. It was really nice to see that coming up to the surface. We got the developer docs live. You can have a look right now there and play with our API. And last week also we did a lot of progress on the supply page that is also to be launched internally. That work is almost done, so we expect this week to ship that out. Additionally, this week we want to continue. So the Baro Alpha is being tested internally this week. So we have, as people test it out, we gather feedback, and we will work on improving our UX and any bugs that are found in the way. Same thing with the supply page. I put their continuous supply page, but it should be shipping the supply page. It's a duplicate. The last point there. We should ship that supply page this week. Also, we will look at how we can improve the security of the Merkle root. We currently have multiple checks in place, but it's always good to improve that and make it eventually get it to a point where it's rock solid. So security is always going to be a focus for us. And yeah, UI UX improvements for Baro Alpha I already talked about. So shout outs to Alex and Kyle for the amazing work on the dev docs. This is really good because finally we get to have a place where we can point third-party developers to, and where they can play with our scores and put them in any third-party app that they want to build. So that's a really great milestone as well. And challenges, I put their time estimate on tasks because as we are refining our direction and finding our priorities on what we're working on, it's important to get really good at time estimates. And as everybody in the industry knows, it's quite a hard task. It's quite a challenge. So we're continuously working on that. So these are the updates for the engineering for this week. I'll pass it on to the Titans, to Kale.
Yeah. All right. So what's going on in our world? To kind of quote Kerman earlier, we've been going through a phase of contraction and trying to solidify the source code and make sure it's really, really clean and really organized, removing all this duplication and tech debt. We're now starting to go back into a period of expansion. So things that we've been working on is, and this one is a special thanks to Gabe, we've been pulling out EVM chains. So currently we've only got a couple of data sources. We only consider Ethereum and Polygon, but we want to start considering other chains. So things like Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, Arbitrum, things like that. So we've started that work, and last week we prototyped pulling in that information. Some other things that happened last week was Stuart had released a revenue and loss model for our credit platform. So that's kind of the basis of all future iterations of risk modeling. So that was very, very cool. Big one is that Casio is deployed. It's in a good point. It's just running in parallel with our main production system at the moment. If everything goes well, we're looking to switch those gears over. So that's very exciting. Other things we did that are slightly less exciting, we built out one of our internal monitoring checks. So up until now, we've been doing a lot of this monitoring manually, going and checking databases, going and checking, runs out of our CI/CD pipeline, things like that. So we wanted to actually automate some of those pieces. So we start to publish messages internally that give updates on how everything's going. And then lastly, we're just supporting Sparta on some of their deals. So just producing graphs and helping collate findings and stuff like that. For this week, I'll be working with Gabe and Yao on building out the production system for that EVM chain ETL. Casio, as I said, is going to be doing a parallel run, so we'll be checking for stability and correctness. I know Diego wants to dive a little bit deeper into some super crucial scores and just make sure they're exact matches. And then also supporting Sparta on deals. I didn't put in there, but obviously risk is happening this week as well. Shout outs. So I actually want to shout out Kerman this week, and it's in a similar vein to something Kyle said earlier today in an internal meeting. Kerman has to deal with a lot of shit sometimes. He has to deal with people and deal with making sure people are happy and making sure we've got a good culture. And it's a little bit painful. Dealing with people is definitely the hardest part of crypto. I think the easiest part is the code. So big shout out to him for actually dealing with the people, because it is definitely the least fun. His hard work means that people like Gabe, Kyle, and myself get to wake up every day and love our work. So that's a big, big deal. Challenges. Doing less to do more. So one challenge that we're trying to hit at the moment with the engineers is how do we make sure we factor in buffer to deal with fires and last minute requests and things like that? Because currently we fully allocate all of our capacity, and that means that when a fire comes in, it just creates chaos. And we're trying to go, how do we get better to buffer for that so we're more efficient long term? Going slower to go faster. That's it from me. So basically at this point, I'll hand it over to Liam and the Spartans.
Thank you, Cal, and thank you for the lovely shout out.
Hey, GM. So last week was a shorter week. I was also on leave, so it was like a 3-day week for me last week. But we progressed 2 opportunities. We're focusing on progressing 2 opportunities to Snapshot. Both are quite close. There were some setbacks on a key opportunity. The TLDR is our key contact moved on to another org. So there's going to be some chaos in that account. It's going to be a bit of a setback, but we'll get it back on track. This week, I am focusing on, a group of us are focusing on those opportunities, getting them across to Snapshot. We are also exploring 2 new partnerships, and I'm also working with Kale on some customer and population analysis, and just getting some views for a meeting tomorrow. I wanted to shout out Kerman and Hugh last week for the support just on unstructured thinking on platform. TLDR, there's a lot of complexity and moving parts, and we're trying to do that while selling, and chaos comes in and completely fucks with the deal. So I really support them jumping in and helping out. And yeah, the challenges is just, I'm just super focused on trying to get $1 of revenue. Yeah, so that's everything from me this week. I will pass it over to Hugh for product and growth.
Hey everybody, good morning.
Sorry.
So last week,
Hugh.
Your vocal.
Yeah, you've gone full robot mode.
oh,
So bad, dude. So bad.
Yeah, I think you should definitely mute yourself and try that again.
So bad. So bad.
I guess I'll probably just read out the
You're the
slide.
delegate.
The delegate. So last week, Hugh wrote out scope for work, basically helping out with one of the key deals and preparing some mock-ups for their loyalty program, and like helping part of that like unstructured chaos that we're trying to get over the line in Spartaland. Then kicking off the alpha internal competition. So the fact that we've gone live with borrowing on mainnet on Polygon for the team, there's just a bit of infrastructure around that and making sure that runs. So that's all good to go. Oh, I think you might be good. Try speaking.
hello.
Okay, sweet. All right, back over to you.
Oh god, yeah. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Okay, cool. So I'll just kick off where you left off. So yeah, there was, I think, like a big piece of like a big focus for the team now is like as we've got this alpha product that's like being used and shared just like internally within the team, we want to make like the best possible use of that time and energy. So like what we've done is we're running like an internal competition to incentivize and gamify the process of using borrow and providing feedback. And so that's kind of been in train from last week. Also in preparation for like thinking through platform as like an opportunity, we wanted to just spend some time writing an article to describe like what are the big challenges with Web3 data, which is like a precursor to an article that will probably release in the next maybe month or two that describes the platform opportunity that we're thinking about. This is all pending kind of like customer insights and research and actually seeing what it's like on the field. So that's kind of coming. And then, we've got also our audit that's coming in I think June. So just some scheduling and logistics on that side of things. Quick shout out, Gabe and Stuart. Obviously, like many more people in the team, like Yarrick as well, I actually forgot to mention. But there's a lot of focus and determination on getting like the alpha out. And, even in my experience, it's like, you always should be kind of embarrassed by your MVP, but like even in this case, it's kind of like, it's a very polished MVP. So it's amazing like work so far. So congrats there. In the week coming, it's going to be a bit of consolidating feedback from alpha. So like bugs, and also sharing some of the insights more on the UX side, and then thinking through what that means and what we can do with that. Publishing a user-friendly version of the credit score rules. This is going to be a key thing, and it's based off some feedback of I don't really understand how, an action on chain equals an improvement in my credit score. So spelling that out clearly is going to be really critical. In addition to that, there's a bit of design research that I want to do on credit. So we just really want to make sure that the next iteration is going to be very easy to understand and very intuitive. So I want to be jumping on calls with people this week to get a sense of what that feedback is and how we can make it a bit more intuitive. And also supporting on the platform side of things with respect to kind of the immediate short-term priorities in the backlog, and that's kind of supporting Kale and Liam. Also preparing some requirements for sprint planning. So this is kind of the end result of the week from the things that are doing earlier in the week. And as I mentioned at the beginning, there's an article that we were writing last week, which would be good to publish. And the main challenge for us this week is just communicating the credit score clearly to end users. It is a novel thing that most, many people are DeFi native and might not have really ever interacted with a credit score, let alone, understand how it kind of would potentially work in a DeFi context. So there's a lot of education that we need to do. We need to make sure that it's super clear and crisp. So I think that's going to be a major challenge from a user experience side when it comes to launching this product. And that's it. Sorry for the robot voice.
It's kind of cool. Sweet, thanks for that, Hugh. I think in terms of questions and answers, Joel, we had something come up. Not sure. Yep. Do you want to read it out and then I'll just answer?
Yep. 2 seconds. Let me just pull that up for you. 2 seconds. Okay. What's the roadmap towards real and collateralized loans in USD stablecoin?
Yeah, pathway to real under collateralized loans is first making sure that we have highly efficient over collateralized loans or collateralized loans. So if you think of it in terms of for every dollar you borrow, DeFi currently needs about $1.50 or $2 on average. Step one is to bring it down to $1, and then step two, once you've done it $1 successfully, is bringing it down to 50 cents and then 10 cents and eventually nothing. But we need to learn to walk before we can run. So that's basically the short of it. Too easy. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. It's really exciting, all the things going on internally, and we're really excited to share more of it with you as we get more confidence and as we're allowed to. So thanks so much for tuning in, and see you all next week. Bye.
Thank you.